And then he had a great line in this promo saying he is not a theme song, he is not a catchphrase, he is not a hand signal, which is how it seems the only way people can get over in professional wrestling these days. They gotta have a good theme song, or they gotta have a catchphrase. What is up, everybody? I actually want to review last night's Juggalo Championship Wrestling episode, an episode of JCW Lunacy. You know, reviewing a show that has multiple storylines at once, especially a wrestling show, it's a good thing. And I don't even have a lot of time to get into everything I would like to because, you know, usually when I do some wrestling reviews on this channel, there's not a whole lot of storylines to talk about. JCW, thanks to Vince Russo's booking, does indeed have storylines throughout the entire night for everyone involved. Let's break down some of it, some of what I like, most of what I like. There's a couple things that I was like, but yeah, let's get into it. So the week before, Vince Russo pulled out his baseball bat, harking back to his WCW days to beat down Jeeves, break some ribs. He was upset that Jeeves and Violent J brought in EC3 into the company, although right now EC3 on a Canadian tour or something. Well, we started the episode with this segment of Russo narrating a video about how sometimes when you face obstacles, you do have to resort to the knowledge of the past and stuff that you retained in the past, and that's why Russo has his bat back. And then we see Vince Russo and Big Vito reaching a deal. They've had some squabbles in the past after coming into JCW together. They were interrupted by Kerry Morton. Russo had Kerry Morton looking at his bats. I thought this was an entertaining segment because I think Kerry Morton is also pretty entertaining, and obviously Vince Russo is, as long as you don't get sick of him saying bro a lot. But Kerry and Vince Russo have been pissing each other off a lot, and right now Kerry is pissed because Vince took Shane Mercer away, who was Kerry Morton Jr.'s like enforcer, but now Vince Russo paid off Shane Mercer to be a part of a tag team with Matt Cross, to work for him, to be the future endeavors, to get people out of the company that he doesn't like, basically. Anyway, Russo says that Mercer made a business decision, and basically Kerry Morton wants both men in a match, even if it's 2-on-1, so that was set up for our main event. I've talked about this in the past. Barnabas and his outbreak, the zombies who are actually drug addicts. For many weeks when I was watching this show, it was kind of corny, kind of cringe. Sometimes it still is, but also sometimes these days it is very funny. And the story thread right now is that Barnabas is trying to get his outbreak into rehab to get rid of this drug addiction, but even that is not working. 20 minutes into the episode, we had our first match, even though it really wasn't a match. It was more like a street fight without a referee, but it was probably the best thing on the show, in my opinion, and that was J-Rod and Sophia Rose fighting outside. Sophia Rose tried to cost J-Rod last week. They used to be tag team partners, but I wouldn't want to face J-Rod in a street fight, and Sophia Rose shouldn't have either. But then after J-Rod was taking care of Sophia Rose in that outside fight, Danny Moe came along, who attacked J-Rod, laid her out, put a trash can over her. And honestly, J-Rod even made a trash can look good. So that's the best compliment that I could give to J-Rod. But I like what they're doing with Danny Moe as well. She's had this whole agenda. We don't really know why. Later in the episode, she had this list of things she's trying to do. She also ended up stealing the title from J-Rod, later saying, you know, possession is 9/10 of the law, and so it's her title now. She just found it on the ground. So not only do we have J-Rod in a storyline with Sophia Rose as ex-tag team partners, but obviously now Danny Moe has stolen her title. Next is another follow-up on a storyline that happened last week when the announcer, Mac Davis, cost Façade a match, attacked him during a match. Violent J is, of course, upset with Mac Davis because Mac is letting his personal stuff get involved with wrestling. He wanted to finish an interview during a match. It was totally unprofessional. He wants Mac Davis to stay out of things. That would, of course, tie into something later in the night. Next up, Violent J had to talk with Russo. And Violent J, not happy with Russo getting involved with his baseball bat last week on Jeeves. And this was a good callback to months and months of storylines, because when Russo first came in, he didn't like how Violent J was getting involved with the wrestlers. Is he supposed to be the owner of the company, or does he think he's one of the boys? And now here is Russo being a hypocrite, because now he's the one getting involved with things. So that was just good follow-up from a long-term storyline from when Russo first came. Now the story is, for anyone that hasn't watched, Russo and Violent J are now 50-50 owners. Vince Russo first came in as a 51% owner to save JCW. That was the original storyline, but now Russo and Violent J have to basically go head-to-head as co-owners. Violent J told Vince Russo it seems like he's falling apart right now, and Russo says it feels so good. Another storyline. It was pretty story heavy. It usually is. It's a Vince Russo show. I could see some people complaining, oh, it took so long to get to a real match. And it did, but so does a lot of SmackDowns and Raws that start with some big, long in-ring promo. At least what's time consuming in the first half hour of this show is multiple different storylines, which I do appreciate. One of the best storylines has been Big Vito. I've talked about that in the past on this channel too. Right now, he has one of the clowns, Yabo, who was actually in the witness protection program with his brother trying to escape the mob, but now Vito has found them out, and right now he has kidnapped Yabo's brother. So Yabo's been going around wanting to know where his brother is. Where is his brother? Vito still had Yabo handcuffed since last week. He's been trying to beat into Yabo to just join the family, and tonight he's going to be partnering up with Vito's nephew and their enforcer in one of the matches. Caleb Conley has had this storyline where Violent J has been trying to find new mystery opponents for him each week. After a week where Russo was gone, Caleb Conley was the co-showrunner for the night and doing the most, so now this is Violent J's way of paying him back. The mystery opponent ended up being Ernest the Cat Miller. Someone must have called his mama. It wasn't much of a match. He didn't even want the match because he was shocked that Russo called him in. Well, that Russo and Violent J called him in to face a nobody like Caleb Conley. Russo was upset that it was the Cat because he thought the Cat was his boy back from the WCW days. And it ended up with Russo distracting the Cat so that Caleb could win pretty quickly with a roll-up. Choppa City versus the Backseat Boys was the tag match. This was probably the best match of the night in-ring wise. I didn't love the booking though, because Choppa City seems very over with the crowd. They seem like they can be a really good babyface team for JCW, and yet I don't feel like they win, and I don't really understand that. I mean, maybe you could think, oh, they could stay over anyway, even if they're losing. But like, I don't give a shit about the Backseat Boys. I don't feel like they've been on much since I've been watching JCW these past few months. And I get the storyline afterwards. Backseat Boys said they were in JCW in the early days, and now they're back, and they don't feel like they get respect. But honestly, one match win and one promo isn't going to make me care about the Backseat Boys yet. But I know there'll probably be a storyline because that's what Russo does. So I'm going to give it time. But this was my least favorite part of the match. I was like, why is Choppa City losing this match to these Backseat Boys dudes that I don't really know, and in my opinion haven't been relevant since the 2000s. Next up was Cocaine and the Outbreak versus Sally Boy, Vincenzo, and Yabo. This was to continue two different storylines, both that the Outbreak are still addicts and that the Outbreak and Cocaine don't really get along anyway. It also followed up on Stephen Flo, who's been having this storyline with the ring rat that also happened in this episode, where she's like obviously a ring rat who just wants to be in good with this rock star-like character, Stephen Flo. He wants her help, and she's not doing a very good job of it, although she did do a good distraction of Cocaine. It seemed to be working, but Stephen Flo tried to attack Cocaine, and it didn't quite work. But Stephen Flo did come, I think his name is Stephen Flo. It's something Flo. He came out during this match to fight Cocaine, who is the JCW World Champion. Then Yabo finally got tagged in, obviously not wanting to be a part of this team, ended up hitting Sally Boy, who is Vito's nephew, costing that team the match. So we'll see where the follow-up is there. I'm running out of time, and yet so much I still want to talk about. Giselle Shaw versus Freya the Slayer. It was a best-of-3 series with one of these women trying to get a contract in JCW. Giselle has swept, winning 2-0, so it looks like Giselle will get that contract. The best thing of the night was next, and that is this Father Bronson character who was preaching about his red love, and Mac Davis was trying to interview him in the ring. He just kept talking about his red love and how it's about forgiveness, and he forgives Mac, and he's talking shit to the fans like he does, and he says that whatever people say about him, that is who he is. But two things he is not is he is not a liar, and he is not a coward. And then he had a great line in this promo saying he is not a theme song, he is not a catchphrase, he is not a hand signal, which is how it seems the only way people can get over in professional wrestling these days. They gotta have a good theme song, or they gotta have a catchphrase. So I like that part of the promo because I actually do think this Father Bronson is a very interesting character. There is a Bray Wyatt-esque to him, but as this segment went along, he was talking to Mac Davis, talking to Mac about how he could be his father now. He will be everything Mac Davis's father wasn't. He will help his father with bullies like his fathers didn't. He wants to help Mac with Façade, which is what I talked about earlier. That's who Mac Davis got into it with last week because he didn't want to finish an interview with Mac, and he was frustrated with always getting into it with Façade. Well, Façade came out wanting an apology from Mac Davis. He kept wanting Father Bronson to back up when Father Bronson was distracting him. Mac Davis with the low blow from behind, and then Father Bronson put a clover leaf on him. I like this segment because it sets up this like cult-like thing, this cult-like character with Father Bronson that is definitely the most interesting part of this episode, and it was a good episode overall. Like plenty of storylines here that I'm talking about. So that was a great segment. One of the better segments in wrestling this week was Father Bronson. The main event was supposed to be Kerry Morton Jr. versus both future endeavors, but only Matt Cross arrived. Shane Mercer was missing. Violent J came on commentary to say that he and his boys laid out Shane Mercer because he thinks that future endeavors are the people that attacked Too Tough Tony and Willie Mack last week. He doesn't know that for sure. That's what he thinks. And then when the ref got knocked out in this match, Too Tough Tony and Willie Mack came out to beat on Matt Cross, which led to a DQ, which Kerry Morton Jr. was upset about because he wanted to prove himself to Russo and win this match. I think that does good things for Kerry Morton Jr. here because even though he's this big egoed guy who likes to talk trash, I feel like he's slowly becoming a babyface, and this helps that happen. It also continues a very long-term storyline where originally Matt Cross is the one that cost Violent J his position at one point, losing all of the company to Russo and Big Vito. So now Too Tough Tony and Willie Mack bring Matt Cross to Violent J for Violent J to beat him down a bit. So that was some great follow-up, long-term booking. So yeah, great show. It ends with ECW alum Joel Gertner, who is now in the company as well, having a ridiculous promo. He is an entertaining talker. He says he's here, someone else is coming with him, the man is coming, someone is coming. He's talking about lots of coming, which scares me about who this mystery wrestler might be. But yes, a very entertaining show. Vince Russo says he writes it like a TV show, not a wrestling show. Definitely comes off that way, and it leaves me with a lot of different storylines to talk about. Arguably the best wrestling show so far this week. I'll do my rankings on Monday like I usually do. AEW was strong this week though, so I'm going to add up my tallies because I give everything a rating. I didn't talk about my fire scale or my garbage scale here tonight. I will say nothing was in the garbage scale on this show. Nothing was super high on the fire scale except that Father Bronson segment though.